My quote unquote long awaited photo book has finally arrived. I thought I'd do a video showing it, talking about the images. You can see, before I get into the images and show you through the book, this is from Vistaprint. I did it on Vistaprint. This is XL landscape size. And I also got glossy paper as well, glossy photo paper. As you can see, it says Neil Malone's Dundee Photobook. The reason why I did that, because I have so many photos of Dundee, and I thought what better place to start than just do Dundee photos. Not completely 100% happy with it, but I'll get to that at the end. So as you can see, it's Neil Malone's Dundee Photobook. This is a long landscape of the city. It's not the sharpest photo either. I was wanting to go and get a new one for this book, but obviously with the restrictions I can't really go across the road bridge, go up to the Wormit kind of side of things and get a fresh one. So I kind of had to leave it like that. So it's 24 pages as well. I'll try and show you this as best I can. It is a little bit awkward due to the lighting, etc. This is the first photo, the first page. This is a path that goes down towards Trottick Ponds, which is fairly local to me. It's a very green. It was done last summer. It's very green and yellows. The little bushes and flowers kind of growing a little bit. There's more bushes really than anything else, to be honest. But I kind of quite like the photo. It's got the leading lines of the path, which is a bit of an old rule in photography, or guideline really in photography. But I quite like that photo. I've tried to pair these images up. So I will show you these images, and they are in a little bit of pair. I've tried to pair them up so they can complement each other in these pages. This the second image, this is of Verdant Works. This is a display that they have there of jute. You can see the jute bales and some jute wheels and some, some containers that they have. I quite like this photo as well, where you got the sun streaming through. I thought it made a nice image. Again, even the original image is not as good as I would like to have been in terms of the quality, but it's a fairly decent image. If you go down to Verdant Works, which is a jute museum in Dundee, because Dundee was formerly a jute city, very industrial with it. It's a decent image. Talking of another, again, pairing these images, another museum here in Dundee is the McManus Galleries. This is a very recent image. The snow we had just a few weeks ago. I had to go to the city centre for a few things. Took my camera along and I got this image. It's quite nice. It's quite a decent image. You had all the snow on the roof and the snow lying about and on the statue as well. I quite like it. It's very recent, so I was able to use an original file for that, which actually is, I'll get to at the end, but it's very advantageous if you're doing something like this. The next image that I will show you is the image of, I said it's a bit awkward positioning just because of the light. I couldn't get the light properly. This next image that you're seeing of the escalators and stairs, this is a Dundee rail station. They've rebuilt the kind of entrance to the rail station a couple of years ago now. So that is right at the bottom of the stairs. When you go in the station, that's the way to go down to the platforms. It's quite a good image. These two images that I'm showing you in black and white, for some reason I'm really happy with them. I really like these images. I don't know why this just one speaks to me. There's a guy right on the, I don't know if you can see my hand here, but I'm recording on the Sony, which doesn't have a tilt screen, but anyway, you can see the guy in the top right hand corner. He was hanging about there. Didn't, to be honest, look like the looks of him, but it's come out really good. This was another one original file I used, so this came out really well. This actually came out a lot better than I thought, just because of the rendering of the Vistaprint software I used. It kind of looked like it was noise or something, just artificial noise things going down the steps of the escalator, but it turned out okay. This image I really like. This is probably this one that you're seeing here is one of my favourite images that I've taken, I think. I really like this, and again, another original image. You can see how sharp it is, a really good quality. This is an older couple in front of the V&A Museum. I took this a couple of years ago, just when the V&A had opened, and obviously a lot of people were milling. You can see in between them there's people milling about. You can see there's people in the corner as well. I was just wandering around the city centre and taking a look at the V&A. I think it was very shortly after it opened. The barriers had come down, everyone wanted to wander around the outside of the building. And I was sitting on one of these stone benches. I'm not sure of the exact makeup of them, but these benches that the gentleman is standing in front of, or beside, or the bench is really in front of him in this photo, they're kind of stone-ish, and there's a row of them right down the outside to pretty much to the Discovery, which you'll see in the later photos. I was just sitting on one of them. I think that's the edge of the one I was sitting on there. I just zoomed in quickly, took the photo, and these two images were part of the ones I did a couple of years ago when I was experimenting with the black and white images, or editing them into black and whites, and so that's what happened with it. So I quite liked it. It is definitely one of my favourite images. This image is these next two images again paired up. These are the cows at the Riverside Nature Park. These are also very recent images, so again original files, and they've come out really well. This is the tan cow. Don't know their names. Not sure the exact history of them, but this is the tan cow. I quite like it. It almost looks like I've captured them posing with the legs there and looking at me as well. I was using the shutter for some of them in silent shooting with the Sony a7 III for some of the photos, so I believe I probably was using the shutter because the cow or the bull was really looking at me. But I caught that one. There is also the black cow or black bull there as well. That's the other cow that's down there. You see the horn is missing off that one. I don't know the full story of that. I really don't know the story at all. It's feeding itself on hay. You can see there. You can see it's chewing on the hay. One of the great things is that receptacle, the drum of hay, is right in the corner, right beside the fence and right down beside it is part of the Riverside Nature Park, but it was really just right next to the fence, so you can see them. The field that they're in is very long and very wide, obviously for their needs. So this kind of was good because they were eating at the hay, and it kept them in that corner, allowing me to get some decent photos of them. I got some other ones as well, but these are the two that I went for in this book. The next couple, these are just two. I didn't really pair these ones just because, to be honest, I was trying to find decent quality ones when I was editing them, because I started off using another company software, but sizing them down because I was using copies of files. They didn't look like they were going to print very well, and too small really. This photo is actually taken on the GoPro Hero 8 Black. I made a video a while ago, YouTube, two swans preening themselves. This was a photo I took during that time. It's not a screenshot, it's an actual photo. Can't remember whether it's HDR or whether it was super photo or whatever they call it. But I took this with the GoPro Hero 8. It looks okay. The only problem is with the GoPro, the aperture is f2.8, so the it's not. It doesn't. there have been a few times I've regretted just taking out the GoPro and not taking out the camera, my A7 III with me. So the depth of field on the GoPro is very narrow. I would have liked it to be a bit sharper in the background, but overall I think it's quite a decent image. This one, this image now that you're looking at, this main one, I know you're kind of seeing both, but again, the setup around here is not the greatest. I've not really been able to find. Anyway, this one is down at Magdalen Green. This photo is on the kind of pedestrian bridge over the railway tracks. This is at the far end of Magdalen Green. You can see I like this. I tried to replicate this one the other week, but it really didn't work. It wasn't as good as this one. You can see it was taken a few months ago. It's autumn. There's some leaves on the tree, but a lot on the ground. The sun is setting here, and there's a lot of mist as well. It was kind of evaporating at that point a little bit, unfortunately. But you can see there some mist over the River Tay. That building there is actually a restaurant. You can go, well, I think they're open for the usual takeaway, delivery, whatever, right now, but it is normally a restaurant, and there's actually in front on the other side, I believe it's the other side, kind of looking at that, the other side there's an old train carriage that I believe sometimes open for people to sit in, but I quite like that. This one I had slight problems with. I hate that there's a lighting pole there, but sometimes you can't. You have to take the photo, and there's nothing. Sometimes there's always things in the way of the photo that you don't like, but quite often, obviously, you can't do anything about it. This photo here, this one is I'd say fairly recent, but it was a few months ago. I tried to replicate this as well. Again, a couple of weeks ago, but just the other week actually, but it didn't really work. This is the RRS Discovery, one of the famous attractions in Dundee. Went to Antarctic with Captain Scott. The domed building is the Discovery Point, which is basically the Discovery Museum, where you can go and learn about the ship, its history, Antarctic expeditions, etc. And you can also tour on the ship. I quite like that there is a couple people sitting there, but then again, I don't. I did try and get it without them sitting there once they left, but literally as they left, people started coming up and sitting on the benches, and it was just like, no, I'm not going to be able to get that completely clean shot, but it's an okay shot. If you will walk up to the Discovery Point and turn around 180 degrees, then you would be facing this way. This is another recent shot. Not taken it the same day as the McManus Galleries. I had to nip in city centre to try and get a few snow photos and for some exercise, and I got this one. I'm not saying it's a fantastic shot, but it's quite good because I think it's the first time really we've seen the V&A in any type of snow. The first time we've had in a few years we've had quite heavy snowfall that would actually sit on the ground. We had a little bit a year or so ago, but it wasn't really very much. Didn't really settle as much as it has recently. So it's quite a decent photo of that as well. I've taken many a photo of the V&A Museum and the RRS Discovery. I think a lot of people around Dundee have. I'll try and go through these quickly. This one is the main one you're seeing now, is a decent one. The sun setting and the train going over the Tay rail bridge, as you can see on the left. I believe this, I've been thinking about it, trying to record this video. I think that may have been going out of the city. I have another one of a train coming into the city, going onto the bridge that you'll see, but I'm thinking that was possibly going out of the city. But anyway, it's a fairly decent image. You can see how reflective the River Tay, obviously with bodies of water like that, sometimes they get very reflective. This image here, trying to line up so you can, I will kind of maybe zoom in a little bit. This image, to be honest, I'm not hugely happy with this, the way this one came out, if I'm honest. Again, this was another one that was a copy of a file, and I think I had a little bit of a problem with that. I thought maybe it was come out okay. It's decent and it's viewable. I wouldn't say it's absolutely perfect though, and that's down to me, not the file used. Again, I'll talk about that at the end. But there's a plane there, and it's a plane going over. You see the Tay rail bridge there. A little bit of reflection of the sun set. This was taken early last year. So it's an okay image, but I think I've sized it up a little bit too big. I could have, like another page, actually maybe taken the size down a little bit, and it might have come out slightly better. So I'm not 100% happy with that. The next image is this is another pedestrian bridge over railway tracks. This is at Broughty Ferry. If you follow the around the pathway around, you'll get to Broughty Ferry Castle within a few minutes, and the Broughty Ferry Lifehouse, Lightboat House anyway. Not Lighthouse, but Lightboat House. This is just train tracks. It's an okay one. Again, it's another one I kind of tried to replicate recently when I was down there, but didn't to try and get an actual original file. But the sky didn't look too great. It was a bit really grey, cloudy, so I stuck with this one. But the next image, again, I said about the train going over the bridge. This is from Wormit. This is actually the Wormit side of the Tay rail bridge. So if you go over, if you're in Dundee, you go across the bridges. Right, the town. There's a couple of towns like Tayport and Newport and Wormit, and the other side, opposite Dundee and Fife. You go up to, it's Wormit that the other side sits for the Tay rail bridge. You can see that the train definitely going on to the rail bridge, because I know I took a sequence of photos when it was going on the bridge. It's an okay one. I want to revisit Wormit this summer, hopefully, if I get the opportunity to. Now, these two are attraction ones. This is the Law, we call it in Dundee, also is sometimes referred to as the Law Hill. This is quite a decent one. I really like this one. I got some similar images before this, with the sun actually looking like it was coming out of the top of the. It almost looks like, because that bit up there is a light, which does get lit occasionally, but it kind of looked like the sun was right on the top of it. But I kind of preferred that one to print right now. But it's quite a good one. It's a bit enhanced as well. You can tell it's not, it's maybe a little bit too yellow, but I like to enhance sometimes the colours of the sunsets. The other couple of ones are a little bit enhanced of the colours, but it's just enhancing what's there. It's not painting a lot of yellow on. This one is Broughty Ferry Castle. I didn't take the image that I wanted to, because they're doing flood protection stuff right now down there, renewing the defences there. So I got this one. Wasn't exactly the face-on one that I wanted, but I think it looks pretty decent. Basically, about the only angle that looked fairly decent, down on the dockway, harbour area. The next two are nature animal ones. This one is one I like as well. That is of meerkats. That was taken at the what was it called? The Camperdown Wildlife Centre, let's call it. I think that something certainly. Those are from a couple. This is from a couple of years ago actually, because I haven't been down there in a couple of years. And this was like, well, actually, there's 3 meerkats I think in that photo. The one there, or just looking at it, looks like there's 3 meerkats anyway. But certainly the one looking out and then there's one immediately behind it, and looks like there's one squashed in there. I quite like this one, very close up. Do want to go back down to Camperdown when I get the opportunity to. This one was also from a few years ago. It's simply an owl. The last time that the Dundee Museum of Transport Open Day was actually able to be held, and it hasn't been held for a couple of years because of weather. There was like 2 years when it was called off because of heavy rain. The ground was just unusable, and obviously what's happened and what's currently going on is cancelled the last couple of years. So it was just an owl being used in a display to raise awareness of birds. So I took that one when it was after it would flown about for a little bit, and it was just resting. This is also fairly recent as well. It was a Ferris wheel that was in the city for 2 weeks. So I went along Slessor Gardens. That's the Caird Hall, that building is there behind it. Took that image. This is a piano, obviously. That's at the Dundee railway station as well. Taken the same day as the escalators image. It just literally turned 90 degrees to my right, and it was there. It was just unveiled a few days before it. It was dedicated to a widow by her. Dedicated to by a widower for his late wife. So it sits there. I don't know whether it's on display or whether it's still sitting there right now, due to everything that's going on. But I just thought it was like decent one to throw in to the book. A couple of Maggie's Penguin Parade. Here's one again, Riverside, dressed as a builder with a reflective rubber tay there. Looks like a decent image. This one I really like. I've got a really wider shot, but I wanted to do a closer up for this book. I've got a really wider shot that I like. This is Chick, one of the, again, Maggie's Penguin Parade. We've had a couple of trails of statues, a couple of Urwilly version statues, 2 different trails, one of different designs. One of him really sitting in the bucket, and then one of him kind of leaning back, laughing, and and also one of the penguins. So we've had like 3 statue trails in Dundee over recent years. Each statue would get their own unique design, like you see the builder there, or it was just, like almost like a young penguin. Each statue would have its own unique design. Quite like this one. This is a Balgay Park, or just beside Balgay Park, up near Pentland, where I like to go as well. And this last one, it was part of the second Urwilly bucket trail. Again, this was the second one because you can see he's slightly leaning back and he's laughing. So this was actually taken as a JPEG. It was with the colour select green filter thing, so it would pick out the greens in the actual image. So that's why I took this with. So it's not been edited in Photoshop, it's actually been taken like this in camera. It's good to have, I played about with a little bit of the colour set filters and settings in the A7 III, but I quite like that one. It's very green fingered, obviously dressed as a gardener with his gardening gloves, a mushroom nose, etc. That is the last picture, and I've also got Dundee on the back of it. This was the bid send off, or it was a bit of a not commemorative, but kind of virtual send off for the bid to be City of Culture 2023, which event effectively got cancelled because of Brexit. We were not able to go to it because we're no longer a European city, basically. So they had sent the bid off. This was just a kind of simulation of sending the bid off. I can't remember what you would call it, but they're basically sending the bid off. So that's quite a decent photo. So that's the photo book. I know this is a very, very long video. Final thoughts, to be honest, again, I'm not 100% happy with this, but that's down to me and using copies of files. So a few of the photos are not the sharpest that I would like, are not as sharp as good looking as I would like them to be. That's because I use copies of old files, because I've been horrible at keeping files. I really do need to change that, and that's what I've started to do. But that's down to me using the files. It's not down to Vista and their printing techniques. That's down to me. I have a few ideas for more photo books to do. I'm not really sure. They'll be later in the year, certainly a lot later in the year. Not sure exactly which one I want to do, depending on what opportunities I get. Like I said, I want to go down to Camperdown again. If I do that, I might make a photo book of animal ones as well, or bird ones. I started to kind of do a little bit of bird photography and wildlife stuff, so maybe you can do that. But overall, I'm fairly happy with it. I'm glad, I was fairly spent like £40 or something, but said that was the extra large book with the glossy paper and the photos on the front and back. But overall, I'm quite happy with it. It was a bit experimental, it was a bit of a test, but I'm actually fairly happy with the results. Fairly happy with the first photo book, and it's good to see my own photos actually printed out.